Thanks again to Martha Burke for that interview. We got into a few more topics, including some of those failed firearm bills. You can watch that conversation on the New Mexico in Focus YouTube page. Now let's return one last time to our line opinion panel. Before this year's session began, one thing caught the attention of lawmakers across New Mexico: the state's record-setting surplus of $3.6 billion in, quote, new money. Now flash forward to March, in their last week of the session, and lawmakers passed a $9.57 billion bill to the governor's office. This record-setting spending bill marked a $1 billion increase from the previous year's budget and increased recurring expenses about 30% on top of that. A fact that Senator George Munoz has been quoted by the Santa Fe New Mexican as being, quote, an unsustainable number. And Inez, what happened in creating this year's budget? Is the senator onto something here? That's a lot of money in 1 year, a bill.
Well, he's onto something in the sense that if you keep increasing by 14% a year, 12% a year, we're not going to have that much money because oil and gas eventually will run down. What hopefully they did strategically enough was they dedicated money. The way they described it was it's now money for the future. So there's $100 million that is going to start the Enchantment Legacy Fund, which is going to do conservation projects. Okay. That's not a recurring appropriation necessarily. Right. And they're trying to use this surplus in strategic ways that will keep us going for the long run. And especially important, I think, is growing, the film industry, growing the medical industry. The malpractice fix was in part to make sure doctors stayed in New Mexico, which is a healthcare issue, but it's also an economic issue. So if you can keep all of our different industries thriving, our small businesses, et cetera, then we're going to have tax revenue. So when oil and gas goes away, there won't be as much to replace it, but there'll be a decent, chunk of money.
Sure, absolutely. Sean, according to Source New Mexico, your publication, the following received hundreds of millions more in funding compared to the last fiscal year: Medicaid, the state's natural resource agencies, public education, higher education, early childhood ed. $4 million more has been set aside for tourism, as well as nearly $2 million more in economic development. It's easy to pull these things out individually and sort of criticize them, but in the overall, we've been calling for increases in all these places for years. It's amazing what happens when you do meet that demand. You're suddenly the bad guy. But again, it's a lot of money. Are we to be surprised? There are conservatives out there who are very, very worried that this is unsustainable for this kind of increase.
Voters asked for this. They wanted to spend money. The messaging has been consistent even before the session that New Mexico has money and business is booming. And so let's spend that money across the board. As you saw, state agencies across the board saw an increase in their budgets overall. One thing that I'm very curious to consider as we look at this going forward, I look at education, and everything in education goes back to Yazzie Martinez and the education reform. And we've seen over the past several years since that mandate happened in 2018, over $1 billion of state investment into public education. Even before and there was more money that came through this year, but there's always been a concern about, is that money being spent appropriately? There's actually school districts that have unspent money, even though they're getting more money, because there's not quite the expertise in New Mexico to be able to spend it properly. You don't have enough teachers to spend it on. So when I look at it just from that microism of how public education has been spending their increase in funding, which is of course, the majority of the budget bill, I'm curious to know, our state agency is going to be able to keep up with all this new money.
Interesting point there. Dan, after hours of debate on the budget that you watched, the Senate Finance Committee pulled the spending plan back to make amendments after already approving it. And that caused about 48 hours, 36 hours of angst about process. Is there any follow-up to that? A lot of folks were pretty embittered how that went down. What do you think?
Yeah, the sausage making can be kind of unpleasant to watch sometimes. But in this case, I think that, the Senate Finance Committee was trying to come up with an agreement that would avoid a veto by the governor, that would not prompt the House to reject the changes that the Senate had made. So there were all kinds of compromises that look a little strange and that maybe didn't fit, what the Senate Finance Committee itself wanted to do. So yeah, I think there is some bad blood on that front, and there could be changes. The Senate has been trying to make the process a little more open. On the House side, we saw a leadership change with Nathan Small, who had public hearings, accepted public testimony, kind of trying to open up the budget process a little bit. So some of those things may stick around, but but yeah, there are a lot of compromises and trade-offs that get made, and not everyone's going to be happy about it.
Who was it that mentioned, out of frustration, the next time you're going to have to file a bill, and instead of looking for an amendment behind closed doors? Why don't we just doing that anyway? I mean, I don't know why we're allowing amendments in the first place. Why can't we just have people file bills? Inez, interestingly, the state's omnibus tax bill went down to the wire again this session, passing the House and Senate with a little more than 2 hours remaining. But the governor earlier in the week said the proposed tax package, quote, you saw this, of course, cuts too deep too quickly, and asked for lawmakers to trim the bill. We don't usually hear the governor weigh in on things like this in process. What did you make of that? And was she effective?
Yeah, I think she was, because they went back and adjusted it. And I think what she's saying is that you can't spend it all at once, whether by giving rebates or sending the money out or by cutting what's coming in. I mean, part of the problem with the idea that they wanted to raise, let's say, the tax brackets for higher wage earners, and people were saying, why are you raising taxes? We have so much money. What you're doing is setting up a structure so that when you don't have as much money, you have adequate revenues coming in, because the business of the state has to be done, whether oil and gas is booming, whether it's not booming. And what we don't want to happen is to have horrible cuts like we had to when Susana Martinez was governor, through no fault of her own, because the oil and gas crashed.
That's right.
So we're trying to set a sustainable economy for New Mexico.
Right. Sean, another big one was the approved alcohol tax increase is a far cry from what was originally proposed. Interesting, the alcohol lobby, they came out, as you would expect them, is what they do. It's their, their right to do it. But who won here? Because as you know, we have a major problem when it comes to alcohol here and its effects on all of us statewide.
Oh, that's an interesting question as to who won with that. I mean, I guess it's going to be determined as to what we see. This increase in alcohol tax, I believe, is a 50% tax. Excuse me, Dan, I have to ask you. But what was the actual?
It's pretty modest.
Modest, okay.
I don't
It's
remember
like a
the
nickel
percentage,
or
but
less.
it's
The initial
very
proposal
small.
was at 50 cents, and that got
Penny,
dropped down.
penny per drink. is
15, my
probably
bad.
better.
Excuse me. I
Right.
apologize for but no. I think at this point we're going to see that money is supposed to go towards substance abuse treatment programs and kind of harm prevention programs to support people who are dealing with substance use disorders. And so you would assume that those individuals will benefit. But I'm really not quite sure where it's going to go from there, because it seems like ultimately the consumer's going to have to pay more. People might be drinking less, but that's kind of going to be yet to be seen. One thing that I did notice out of that tax bill too is that within it that kind of got lost. We spent so much time talking about alcohol, but there was also a cigar tax that I saw that had an increase in there, which means for a lot of our people who imbibing cannabis, the price of the blunt's going to go up.
That's right. That's a good point there. But there were some carve-outs as well. I think so. I think the local beer people got a carve-out. They're not going to be affected by this. Did I have that right, Inez? Yeah, I think that's right as well. The tax rebate, Inez, the 500 singles, 1,000 for couples, less than what the governor proposed. I talked about this with Martha Burke during my one-on-one earlier this week. $500 is still a lot of money in New Mexico. Should we feel good about that? Is that a victory for the governor?
I think it's a victory because she wanted to give some money back. Personally, if you're worried about money for the future and you keep giving it back, will you have enough money when you need it? I always worry about that.
Right.
But I know people are struggling, and that's a couple of weeks of groceries at least. It's a car payment, it's your rent, or half of your rent if you live in Santa Fe, or a third of your rent.
Right.
So, people need cash.
Yeah. Dan, your sense of that one? It was a debate, but it didn't move that far. It wasn't like we went from 3,500 down to 500. I mean, 750 to 500 may seem like a little bit, but $250 is a lot of money around here. It's a lot of dough. But we got something coming. Again, victory for the governor. She wanted this to happen last year as well.
I think so. I mean, the initial House legislation, I think, had even smaller rebates. So, so she did get them to move the number up a bit. So I think that's something that she's satisfied with. As Inez mentioned, kind of the tension here is like, how much money do you want to give people now versus making sort of recurring changes to the tax system?
That's right.
And it's safer in some ways to just give people a rebate check now, but we don't know if that rebate check will be there in the future. This may be the last time you get one. It's hard to say.
That's an important point. During the pandemic, there was an idea that maybe these things would just sort of keep rolling for a while, but it had to end at some point. Thanks again to our Line panel as always this week. Be sure to let us know what you think about any of the topics the Line covered on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram pages, and catch any episode you may have missed on the PBS app. It's really cool. Or your Roku or Smart TV. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.